Imagine you've been with your wife since 1959, right? Imagine. And then all of a sudden you've had your eye on this one sweet little piece for about 2 or 3 years, right? And you're running it by your friends. And when you run it by your friends, they tell you, hey, man, I don't think this is a good idea. This new girl, she's going to cost you double the amount of money. This new girl doesn't like the cold. It's kind of cold around here where we live. This new girl, her type, they like to live where it's warmer. And your ex-wife, she's a type, she likes to live where it's colder. And you don't listen to your friends. You leave your wife. You start living with the new girl. And 2 or 3 years later, you call it quits. And now you're living with neither one of them. And your logic behind all of it the whole time was, me and the ex-wife, things weren't going so well. We haven't been doing that great lately. We've had our times, we've had our shining moments, but lately things have not been going so well. And instead of watering the grass of where you're at, you leave for something shinier that ended up not being so shiny all along. And now you're empty-handed. That, ladies and gentlemen, is called a metaphor. And the metaphor was for Boise State. Congratulations, you played yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Back in 2017, Boise State decided to axe their wrestling program to try and start a baseball program, which lasted them about 3 years. Now, granted, nobody saw the coronavirus coming. The coronavirus came in back in March, destroyed a lot of things, took a lot of people's businesses. It's killed a lot of people. It's wrecked a lot of lives. And now its next victim, Boise State's baseball program. After Boise State decided to hire Kurt Apsey as their executive athletic director back in 2015, this whole time he's had one thing in mind, and that one thing in mind was to start a baseball program. In that process, he decided to, how do we come up with the money? How do we get the whole finances right? And in the middle of the crosshairs, one byproduct of that would have been axing the wrestling program. Now, I don't know a lot about business or being an athletic director or anything behind the scenes involving sports, but I do know one thing. Trying to grow your school and make things better for your school isn't done by adding a sport where the average age of the fan is 57 years old. Now, I love baseball just as much as the next grandpa. You see the Chicago Cubs stuff in the background, right? Go Cubs, go. Go Cubs, go! Go Cubs, go! But baseball doesn't live in Boise, Idaho. Baseball lives where it's warm. Baseball lives where there's palm trees and 80-degree weather year-round. It doesn't live in Boise, Idaho. Wrestling, on the other hand, wrestling loves where it's cold. Iowa, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Ohio. We thrive in places that it's miserable because it takes tough people, right? It's going to be a lot easier to recruit a kid to go to Boise State to wrestle than it is to recruit a kid to go to Boise State to play baseball. You're looking at the financial situation at Boise State. And Boise State's wrestling program cost them just under $500,000 compared to where the baseball program cost them $1.2 million a year. And sometimes it's easier to just buy completely new sod and spend a lot more money than trying to do the right thing and water the grass where you're at, right? And that feels like what they're trying to do here. They said, should we try to invest in Boise State's wrestling and hire new coaches, give them what they need? Or should we just take it all, crumple it up in a little ball, and throw it in the trash can? And let's bring in this baseball program that lasted us 14 games. They were 9-5. Matter of fact, the decision to cut the baseball program was so overnight that one of their baseball commits, John Buscelli, had arrived Wednesday night, woke up the next morning to a text saying that the baseball program had been axed. The relationship was over, and it's time to move on. But you know who else was in similar situation, the similar conference as them, who decided to water the grass where they were at? Fresno State, for example. Fresno State has their baseball program, and they also recently just restarted their wrestling program. You know who they just recently hired as one of their coaches? Former Boise State Bronco Jason Chamberlain, national runner-up. You know who else watered the grass where they're at? Oregon State. who's even farther north and farther west than Boise State. They recently fired their last head coach, said, hey, buddy, it's not working. We're going to hire you, Chris Pendleton. Pack your bags. You're leaving Tempe, Arizona, and you're coming up here to Oregon State. You know who else is thriving in that area of the country? The University of Wyoming with head coach Mark Branch. But you decided to not water the grass where you're at. You thought you could afford the new sod, and now you don't have your wrestling program. You don't have your swimming program. And you don't have the shiny new girlfriend, the baseball program. But this decision doesn't surprise me. It's not the first time that Boise State has made a bad athletics program decision. Just like the many birds that your football field kills every year, you killed 3 programs and 1 swing of the bat. So I'd like to formally give Boise State one last congratulations. You played yourself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
So maybe next time, before you decide to leave your ex-wife and get the new girlfriend that you've had your eyes on, maybe you water the grass where it's at. You put some of your own time, your own money, and other people's thoughts into your decision. This guy was like a one-man wrecking crew. It's like his destiny was to start a baseball program in an area of the country that isn't known for baseball. They're not really known for wrestling, but they still had 16 total conference championships, 20 individual All-Americans, and 2 NCAA champions. Shout out to Ben Jerrington and Kirk White. And you traded all that away for 14 baseball games. You hate to see it.